Someone asks what you think, a real question, about politics, about religion, about what kind of life is worth living, about whether someone's decision was right or wrong, and you answer, immediately, confidently. The words come out fast and clean, like they were waiting just behind your teeth. It feels like your opinion. It feels like you. But later, sometimes hours later, sometimes years, you replay what you said, and you notice something uncomfortable. It sounded like your father, or your mother, or your teacher, or your culture, or your fear, or the version of yourself that learned very early which answers were safe to give. You did not think. You repeated. Most of what you call your mind was built before you ever questioned it. The opinions you carry were not chosen. They were absorbed, inherited, installed so quietly that you mistake them for identity. Nietzsche would say your first thought is rarely yours. It is the herd speaking quickly enough that you mistake it for yourself. And the herd is very, very fast, because it does not want you to pause. A pause is where real thinking begins, and real thinking is dangerous to everything that needs you obedient. Nietzsche spent his life mapping where human thoughts actually come from. He did not believe most people think. He believed most people remember. And what they remember is the conversation their culture, their class, their family had already finished before they arrived. When you are questioned without preparation, when someone catches you and asks what you actually believe, the first thought that surfaces may not be your own. It may be the thought of your position, your upbringing, your bloodline, your training, your need to belong. Your real thought is not the fastest one. It is the one that survives after the herd voice leaves the room, and most people never wait long enough to hear it. Picture a person sitting alone in a room, quiet, still, thinking they are finally hearing themselves. But the room is not empty. It is full of voices. Family voice, telling you what is respectable. Teacher voice, telling you what is true. Culture voice, telling you what is normal. Fear voice, telling you what is safe. Approval voice, telling you what will be rewarded. Herd voice, telling you what everyone else already decided. And here is the strangest part. They all sound like you. They all wear your face. They all use your voice, because that is how they survived inside you. The most dangerous prison is the one that speaks in your own voice, because you will never suspect a prison that sounds like you. Here is the machinery almost no one examines. You did not inherit only money, language, and manners. You inherited reactions. Before you ever chose a belief, you were handed a reflex. What is acceptable? What is embarrassing? What is realistic? What is too much? Who deserves respect and who should be ignored? What kind of life is possible, and what kind is asking for trouble? These were not conclusions you reached. They were installed before you had the language to question them. They became the lens through which you see everything, including the thoughts that feel most like yours, because the lens is invisible. You do not see the lens, you see through it. And the lens decides what even appears as a thinkable thought. Before you had beliefs, you had reflexes. And reflexes do not ask permission. They answer before the question has finished being asked. You have lived this in moments you did not examine. You hear someone's ambition, something large, something uncertain, and you instantly call it unrealistic. Not because you analyzed it, because your training has a preset response to ambition that exceeds the size it is comfortable with. You hear someone break a rule, leave the path, quit the job, walk away from the structure, and you instantly call it selfish. Not because you considered it, because inherited order always feels like morality to the person inside it. You hear someone leave their family, their culture, their religion, and something in you judges them before you have finished hearing why. You hear someone speak freely, no hedging, no apology, no softening, and you feel irritation you cannot fully explain. Then later, if you are honest, you ask the question that almost no one asks. Was that my thought? Or was I defending the cage I was trained to live inside? Nietzsche went further than most people follow. He believed the herd does not only control behavior, it controls interpretation. It tells you what strength means, and what weakness means, what goodness means, and what guilt means, what success means, and what failure means, what a meaningful life looks like, and what a wasted one looks like. Every category you use to judge the world was shaped by something you did not choose. And here is the deepest layer. The herd wins when you no longer need it in the room, because it has learned to speak from inside your head. You do not need the group to pressure you anymore. You pressure yourself, using their standards, and call it conscience. You correct yourself using their voice and call it wisdom. You shrink yourself using their limits and call it being realistic. The cage is no longer outside. It is the way you think. Watch the pattern in your own life. Every time life asks you to think, your training answers first. Someone says something new, you reject it. Not because you considered it, because new feels like threat to the structure already inside you. Someone challenges your values, you feel attacked. Not because your values are sacred, because they were never examined, and examination feels like betrayal to the people who installed them. Someone lives differently, you call them wrong, not because you know, because their difference implies your conformity was a choice, and that is unbearable. Someone becomes free, you call them arrogant, not because they are, because their freedom asks a question of your obedience that you cannot answer comfortably. You think you are protecting truth, but sometimes you are only protecting familiarity, and familiarity is not the same as correctness. It is just the thing you learned first. Now here is the part that cuts closest. Maybe you are not as independent as you think. Maybe your opinions are not thoughts. Maybe they are inherited defenses, positions you took before you had the capacity to choose, now dressed up as convictions. Maybe what you call common sense is only the voice of people who benefited from you never questioning them. Maybe what you call your personality is a pattern of agreements you made with people who are no longer in the room. You do not have a mind until you have questioned what placed itself inside it. And questioning it is not a single act. It is a way of moving through the world that most people find too expensive to maintain, because it costs you certainty, it costs you belonging, it costs you the comfort of believing your first reaction is the right one. So ask yourself the question that does not resolve easily. Which of your thoughts would still be yours if your family, your class, your culture, and your need to belong stopped speaking through you? Sit with that. Not for a second, for real. Because the answer will tell you how much of what you call your mind is actually yours, and how much is just the conversation that was happening before you arrived, which you mistook for thinking. Nietzsche would not ask what you think. He would not ask whether your opinions are right. He would ask one thing only. Who taught you to think that way, and why did you obey? Because obedience does not always look like submission. Sometimes it looks like certainty. Sometimes it looks like having an answer before the question has finished. Sometimes it looks like the voice in your head that calls itself you. And until you have sat in the silence that follows when that voice is finally questioned, you have not started thinking. You have only been remembering.